Good evening. Maybe it's good morning for you. Could be good afternoon, but welcome to the broadcast. My name is Dr. Keisha, and I'm your favorite soul coach. I do life coaching, Christian counseling, motivational speaking. I do consultations for education, and I'm an author. I do a lot, but you're not here to hear that. You want to hear the scoop. And so I'm minding my own black-owned business, and I mean minding my own black-owned business. We're doing our strategic planning sessions and all of that jazz, and coming down from the high of all of that to start surfing the web, going online, finding out what's going on, and then I see my husband. I'm just kidding. Oh my. I see my friend. He don't know me, but I know him. I've been following his career for quite some time. And I'm proud of him. He has grown leaps and bounds, and he has overcome great obstacles in his life. He has a very powerful testimony, and he's very impressive, just very impressive man, who loves God. He's not perfect, but is proclaimed to be a Christian and things of that nature. But he's in the industry. He's an actor, he's a model, and he's also a musician. He sings. He just, I believe, came up. I think his latest hit was something Beyond the Veil or something like that. Um, Singing about obviously wanting to get married, wanting to be serious, settling down, and all of that jazz. And so I'm kind of going through the YouTube streets, and I stumbled upon a video of him having basically just a talk, conversation on his Instagram, which I do follow him, by the way. I told you. I was like, wait a minute, what's that? What's the matter? What happened? What happened? So I do follow him on Instagram. And I noticed that there were a lot of other social media platforms grabbing hold to a story. And I'm like, what's going on? And so I'm seeing this movement and conversation surrounding some things that happened in the past and how he can't, no longer ignore this or push this back or pretend it didn't happen. And he really wants to share his story. And so, of course, I was taken back because I really didn't understand the context. And I think it's important that anything that we hear, especially on social media, whether it's on social media, whether it's through what we would call the biased media, I want to say that because the media just has it's been a minute, since they've been legit news, since legit news has been reported. Unfortunately, I think our news has gone rogue. I think our news wants to try to compete with social media, so they're out there competing for likes and baits and clicks and all that jazz. But anywho, can't trust everything you hear and everything you see is what I'm trying to say. So you got to take a deeper dive and find out where the truth lies. You know what I mean? So I didn't know what he was talking about until I took the time to listen to his entire story or what he shared thus far regarding the going ons. He was speaking in regards to the casting couch, dealing with people that are powerful in the industry and how they were pretty much assaulting him in a way that was inappropriate. When I say, I guess all assaults are inappropriate, but as a male, there was this male trying to come on to him and use his authority, you know what I mean, to try to get him to do what he wanted him to do. So, by definition, that is the S, right? Harassment. And so he didn't say the name though. I'm going to go to his Instagram page, like I forestated. I did follow him. I made a comment. You might see my comment. I made a typo and had to correct it, but you don't see the correction under the typo. You know what I'm saying? But disregard my comment. I want you all to listen to his story. I wish I can blow it up, but I'm going to share a little bit. This is fair use. It's public domain. We can share, content. If it's public on the public, he's a public figure. It is what it is. So they should not flag it because I'm going directly to the source. Hopefully, they don't. Hope it's okay, Christian. We want to help to share your story if that's okay. And we want to talk about that. Like, do men have the right to say me too? Do is there a him too movement coming? Because let's be truthful, a lot happens to males, to men, to boys, too. They are targeted, they are abused, they are harassed, just like anybody else. I think it's always assumed that because men are stronger and broader and all of that jazz, they're rougher and tougher than women, then we don't have to worry about them. But what needs to be understood is that at times, especially when you're dealing with power, and people that can control, in a sense, your destiny or how far you can go in an industry, or on a job, or in business, if they can block you or stop you from growing, they can stop you from, getting that money, blocking the bag, or whatever you want to call it. If they can stop you from having, or even from opportunities for you getting upward mobility because you won't succumb to their enticements. It doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what your sexual preference is. It's just wrong. Whether it's a female doing it to a male, whether it's female to female, whether it's male to male, like it doesn't matter. It's wrong. And it doesn't matter who it is. And that's another component, because he kept mentioning, as he was talking, that this is you all's God. Unfortunately, people can become so popular. And, again, we celebrate, the popularity amongst our community, because when I say our, meaning Black and brown communities, because we've had it so hard for so long that we should at least celebrate our accomplishments. You know what I mean? And we look back on those accomplishments as an example that, hey, if he can do it, if she can do it, then I can do it. So we celebrate. And then there are times when we put these people, whether it's any type of public figure, whether it's your pastor, whether it's your whatever, we put these people on a pedestal, right? And we think, at least in our mindset, oh, they can do no wrong. I can remember, and it's not just Black and brown people, it's people in general, really. Because when you begin to think about, let's go into politics, there were some folks, political figures, that made statements like, if I shot somebody in the middle of the street, they would still vote for me. You know what I mean? Because there is that hard following. There's some people that will follow you blindly. They don't care what you've done in your past, in your present, as long as they didn't see it. If they did see it, they would totally deny it, because they're so into you and they're just blindly following everything that you do, because they look up to you and they idolize you. And when we idolize people, that's why I don't even use that term anymore. We literally worship them. And so they become a deity to you. So I understood completely what he was saying when he said that once this person is exposed because of their voice being so distinct, right? That we'll be able to recognize it right away. And then he also says that he has evidence, of these said, experiences, that he actually decided to protect himself by recording things. I'm assuming he's in California, because depending on your state, it may be illegal to record people without their permission. So I'm assuming that before I think he did mention something about consulting his attorney and legal representation in terms of what he can do to protect himself, because it's tough, especially when you're dealing with the industry, whether it's entertainment or music. It's like you really do advance based on who you know. You know what I mean? So it's like your next job is contingent upon the previous job and the referral and how well you worked, or how well you quote unquote play the game. Right? We've heard that before, not only from him, we've heard that from Monique, we've heard that from others, whether it's you just simply kowtowing to whatever it is that they want you to do, whether it's going around the globe doing marketing and interviews for free, or whatever they want you to do in terms of playing the game. The playing the game may be submitting yourself to their suggestions, whether it's, sexual or otherwise. Playing the game may be just doing whatever something that you wouldn't ordinarily do because they said so, because you're trying to appease them, because you're afraid that you're going to lose an opportunity, or to get an opportunity, you're going to have to jump through some hoops. It can be just reveal parts of you that are secret and private, or it could just simply be put in awkward situations where they're doing something in your presence and there's nothing you can say about it in fear of retaliation. None of these things should be happening in any setting, especially in any setting without consent. So I'm in total agreement that if this is his truth, it appears as if it is. It appears as if he has plenty of receipts to prove that this happened to him. And if that be the case, then, hey, at some point, we're going to have to learn from our mistakes. And I feel like that in some instances, it does require some exposure. People need to be exposed, especially if they're unwilling to change. Now, it would be different, if this person is now straight laced and they haven't done that, they haven't gone back to that lifestyle and they've truly changed and they came back and they apologize and or whatever, or try to make good. But if this person is still doing it, and maybe that's what the trigger was. I'm not sure exactly what the trigger was for him, or just the mere fact that he's like, I'm sick of carrying this. And that's what he did say. He said that he was sick of carrying these secrets. And and secrets do make you sick. As a counselor, I mean, we can all testify. People come into our office virtually, hypothetically. People come in and they share their secrets because why? They're sick of carrying them. It is a blocker. It's a tormentor. It will torment you. You can't sleep well knowing that perhaps, your story may prevent someone else from having the same story. Because if you're quiet and you say nothing, that may put somebody else in the same predicament or situation. So I can totally understand his feelings, but I guess enough of me, right? Let me share his. I'm not going to share all of it. I'm just going to share until I get tired of sharing because it's been a long day. I ain't even gonna lie. I ain't even gonna hold you long. I'm trying to see if I can blow this up.
I've been speaking to my brother about making a declaration me, but I I'm not sure, based on this person's claims and brags that he's
Here, let me just do some stuff. Let me fix some stuff because this looks like it's a lot. So I'm going to remove his photo. And I'm going to position this so that you can see it better. It seems like there's a lot going on, right? Let me see how I can position this. Okay, hold up. Let me remove something else. I got a lot of stuff going on here so that this can be seen a little bit better. Sorry, y'all. Okay, so y'all not going to be able to see it that way. Let's try it like this. Okay, so this is his Instagram. All right, so I'm going to continue. Now, you've heard thus far We kind of spoke on it, and this is not going to be a very, very long video because I'm exhausted. But I did wanted to talk about it because I really do think that there's a him too movement happening and it needs to happen. I feel like, women, I get it. For a long time, women has been oppressed or whatever the case may have been. I think, depending on the type of woman, some more than others. Let's be real and keep it 100. But at the same time, I believe that males also have a story. Some men have stories too, and I think that they should not be discounted, disregarded. Just not heard because they're men. I just think that that's so wrong. We see that with Jonathan Major's situation where he tried to make a report of clear and they're saying, she didn't do nothing. But I think that for those, especially men that have been put in DV situations, you've experienced a DV, it's more than just a physical, you know what I mean? It's emotional, it's mental. Yeah, you might be able to take a hit, but there's some women that are, man, they'll drive you crazy and they will harm you. Like, I mean, harm you. And if they won't harm you physically, they can ruin you and disrupt your livelihood. And depending on who you are, I just feel like that the likelihood of that happening is more likely than other people when I'm talking about people groups or black males and Hispanics and etc. The minority groups. God forbid, and it depending on the type of woman that's doing the reporting too, as we see in Jonathan Major's case. I think he will mention, if you go check out his IG, he's going to mention Terry Crews. Remember the whole situation with Terry Crews when again, he's this manly man, he's this big, rugged dude, talking about, his casting couch experiences. And people are laughing and they're making fun of him and they're mocking him. And I mean, it's just, to me, it's horrible because men are people too. They have feelings. I have sons, so I mean, I haven't raised any females. All I have are males around me oftentimes, and I talk to my sons, and I'm not a man, but I feel for them because it's a lot. It's a lot. A weight often is on their shoulders to provide, to protect. They're taught that that's what they have to do, but who's protecting them, right? Who's taking care of them? Who's seeing about them and their needs? And all right, let me get off my soapbox. Let's continue to hear this man speak his truth. I saw him. I was like, wait a minute, what happened?
He was claiming, that he had multiple, and clearly that's why it felt to him that best to forgive this person, but it happens. It happens. It's not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes, and it'll be men tempting men,
Or women
and that's
tempting
why
men.
a lot of my posts over the last few years have been about taking the scenic route, taking the long way around, because if that means that you can carry your integrity with you, then, and it's 11:11. Thank you, Heavenly Father.
Now, when he did this, I almost collapsed because 1111 is my number. I'm always seeing 1111. I'm like, yes, 1111. But what he means is that, sometimes people give in to these suggestions because they feel like it's going to help their career. And they feel like, hey, if I do it one time, then, it'll be one and done. I don't have to worry about it. just to get a leg up, just to get, again, he said, take the long way around. If you, instead of giving into these suggestions and, giving into these favors, right? To SA and all this other stuff, just instead of giving in to all this stuff, take the long way around, maintain your integrity. Don't do anything that you wouldn't ordinarily do, because what's going to happen is, and this is the truth, the moment you begin, it's going to be difficult to end. The more that you're going to be asked, and the more favors you're going to have to do, and the more you're going to feel uncomfortable, and to the point where it's going to weigh on you, especially if you're a person that has a conscience. You know what I'm saying? If you have morals and values, if you're a spiritual person or a person of faith, like, you have to be careful. Like, I know we say Hollyweird and it's a joke, but I think something can go on for so long that it can be a part of the fiber. You know what I'm saying? The corruption and all of the things that happens to people in those industries because they're so powerful and influential. When something goes on for so long, it can become a part of the culture. So him saying that, you know what, with him especially, I guess he's saying that when things happen like that for him, he just respectfully declined, because they were asking him. And if you go watch it, he'll go into some of the suggestions, like asking him to expose himself or asking him to do, certain favors sexually. And these are men, offering him, and he would get angry, like, yo, I'm not into that. I'm not, he would tell them, I'm not into that, and instead of them respecting, him and saying, all right, man, my bad, because again, you never know how people, how they move. Some people are into that, some people are open to that. But he made it plain. He said from the beginning that I'm not into that. I love women. You know what I'm saying? I'm into women. I'm not into that. And he also said in this video that, again, you love who you love. That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. But when you're trying to coerce me into doing something that I don't want to do, then that's where I draw the line. And so, yeah. And then he talks about, again, it's on Instagram. He did not take it down. It's there. You can go to Instagram, because that's essentially what I've did. I'm sharing his Instagram page. I follow him, have been following him for quite some time. I really do like him as an actor. He's cute. He's good on the eyes. But no, seriously, I mean, I've been following his career for quite some time, and it's so funny. I can remember talking to a friend of mine. I said, one day I'm going to write a movie and I'm going to have him play your part, because he kind of favors him a little bit. And he knew exactly who I was talking about. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I really do feel like that there is a him too movement coming about, and men. And he did say that Cassie's experience with Diddy is the thing that motivated him to come out and start speaking on it. Even though he did not get specific in terms of his experience, he did not call names, but he gave enough information for you to deduct in your reasoning who he's talking about. It's not a lot of black, he mentioned our people, and I think he's biracial, but he mentioned black billionaire, so he gave a lot of hints in terms of who he's speaking, about, or who he's talking about in this. And it could be multiple people, because I think he did allude to the fact that, other people put him in compromising situations as well, but he maintained his integrity. And he also mentioned something about, now, again, I think he resides in California. I don't know what the laws are when it comes to recording and that sort of thing. And I think he did sign a few NDAs as well. But I think it works a little bit different. Like, you're not supposed to go gossiping about, former employers and all that other stuff. But if they do something illegal, you can report it. Like, it's not a violation. You can't be sued for telling the police that, something illegal happened to you through the employer or while being employed and stuff like that. So it only applies to you sharing information, obviously, that you're not supposed to share when you sign those NDAs. So he did mention something like that, and that he did consult his attorney about recording, I guess, because he says that, which I didn't even know they even had one of those. He has a pen that he kept in his pocket. And I guess there's a way by which you can kind of click on it. And I need to buy one of those. I'm not saying I have those kind of problems because I don't, thank God. But that's a very discreet way of recording people, you know. But again, depending on the state where you reside, the state laws vary. You can't record in some states without permission. You can't record people, you know, so you would have to check that out. But if it's a go, then hey, that's one discreet way, especially if you're in a situation where, you know, you're being compromised or potentially being, you know, enticed to compromise your values or your integrity in business. It's not right. It's definitely not right. So let's listen to a little bit more. I want to try to at least stop at 30 minutes and encourage you to go to his Instagram and you can listen for yourself. I already heard the whole thing, but I heard it on YouTube. And I was just kind of curious as to see if it was still on Instagram, and he still has it there. And that's where we're actually sharing his page now. So let's listen to a little bit more. Maybe he'll go into the description of the person so that you can, kind of, I don't want anybody to assume. I don't like to assume, but it's kind of difficult not to based on his description, though.
For another opportunity to connect with you. Please forgive my sins, my shortcomings, my bad decisions, and my mistakes. Please continue to guide and protect us as only you can. Everybody that's watching, it's not a presentation. If I see 11,
He prays when he sees 11:11. I should start doing that because I see it so
conversation with God. So
frequently.
thank you, Heavenly Father. I appreciate you. We love you. We thank you. In Jesus Christ's name we pray, amen. That's interesting. But there are people that will and have and will continue to, unfortunately,
Hmm.
offer these things. Them are your heroes. Some of them are people who y'all like, oh yeah, such and such is amazing, and he does,
Yeah, you'd be
and then
surprised.
on me since '05.
There's that pen.
Um, whether it's a keychain recorder
Oh, it's a
or
keychain. Okay.
pen,
Pen.
because
Okay.
most predators would, once the sexual harassment started, I was like, well, I, I need to, I got to protect me because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to. So I started to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with
Mhm.
them or for them. Um,
So I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, it's back. I'm like, okay, is this okay? Tell me what you think. Do you feel like this is weak? What you say? Hi, it's freezing. Yeah, sorry about that. It paused every time. Okay, so in order for it to play, I have to be on Instagram. So I'm pausing it because I don't want my video to be flagged on YouTube because I'm sharing this on multiple platforms. But hey, sis, I see you. Did you text me today? Answer my question because I text you back asking, was this you? Because I didn't, the number didn't look familiar. Um, yeah, so here's the thing. Does this make him look weak? Because oftentimes, you know, like I said, these cases are not taken seriously because when these manly men, right, come and make these complaints, they're like, well, you know, why you just didn't, you know, it's like, I think it's just insinuating. You did? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to save that number then. Yeah, I think when these manly men, make these types of complaints, they're often not taken seriously because they feel like, well, you can just protect yourself. You can just punch them, or, you can prevent it from happening. You know what I mean? But here's the thing, like, that can wear on you, because when you hear the conversation, he's saying essentially that this has been going on for years. You know what I mean? So it's creating a toxic work environment, and it could potentially create some barriers even in the industry, because if you don't play ball, right? If you don't go along, they can hinder you from getting other jobs, from creating, even getting resources and financing for whatever projects that you have. If this person has so much power in the industry, they can literally blackball you, and that will affect your livelihood. And they're already referred to as starving artists, especially at the beginning of their career. And I think he's talking about, like, this was not at the height of his career. Now he's got what he's got going on now, and I believe he's executive producing some things and things of that nature. But this was early on in his career, he said, as he was building. um and so, so these things were happening, and it just became so disrespectful, to the point where he did want to put his hands on him. And if he would have put his hands on him, then it would have been the death of his career. So it's almost like it's a catch 22. If I defend myself, I'm a man, I can. I could lay hands, right? I could handle my business. But if I take matters into my own hands, what's going to happen to me, right? You know what I mean? So there is a catch 22, unfortunately. Yes, they are manly enough where they can defend themselves and protect themselves in some cases, not all, because there are young boys that experience this, juveniles, you know what I mean, that are young and impressionable and weak, that are overpowered by men or women or whatever the case may be. But now at this age, I think he's closer to my age. I think he may be in his 40s, close to 50s. And so he's grown, you know what I mean? So, but again, this was maybe during maybe 10 years ago, maybe, 15 or what have you. But it's still sad. It's still sad to carry that, because one thing, it doesn't happen. It doesn't dissipate. It doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear from your mindset. You know what I'm saying? And in your heart, and you're carrying that, because it's harassment. It's potential. It is harassment. It is. But what if he would have succumbed to the pressure of that? Then he would have to live with that guilt and that shame. He said he didn't, but the mere fact that he had to go through that, and that they couldn't take no for an answer, and that's what makes it harassment. So he really does want to tell his story. And let me play a little bit. Let me see if I can get, hopefully it's not freezing anymore. But let me play portions of the description of the person that he's making reference to. One of the description was a billionaire. I think he happened to say that the person was a person of color, and they're relatively power in the industry. And the industry that he is obviously is in entertainment, right? He's an entertainer. He's in the movies, he models, and he does music. All right, so let's listen a little bit more, and then I'm gonna have to end this broadcast. But prayers for Christian Keys, that's my dude right there. I love him.
I have recordings of them confessing that all of those things over to the police, because sexual harassment is a crime, attempted sexual assault is a felony. And Tams, you about naming the people people, there was directors along the way like, hey, you read for this, that, and the other. You want to come back up to the apartment? I'm like, nah, I'm good. You got my headshot, my resume, and I'm
So
good.
he's saying the other directors.
You don't need to come up to your apartment. We already had the audition. There's other people that I want to say everything and be like, nah, not yet. I want to tell it.
I feel so sorry for him. I really
Everything.
do.
And the good news is that they don't even have to believe me. Hopefully they would, but even if they, I've carried many recorder devices on me, keychains, pens, thumb drives with a, a charged battery that get conversations. I alone at night, like, man,
So he's being tormented by this. This is very traumatizing. Sorry, because I'm switching back and forth, so it's kind of going in and out. But this is very traumatizing, and I can definitely understand having to go through this. And if you're thinking, this is my friend, this is my brother, why is he putting me in these uncomfortable situations? And it keeps pressing me. It's almost like they keep grooming you or pressing you just to see what you would do. And if they do it long enough, maybe you'll break, maybe you'll be, curious or whatever the case may be. But it's just wrong, it's just wrong. So go ahead and check out his Instagram if you want to listen to all of it. Yeah, it's just very interesting and it's very sad. I mean, I feel his pain. And I do apologize for my internet. I don't know why it's acting weird because it's super late. So there's nobody else pulling on it. I think the other device that I have is it's closed. So I do apologize, but I think we got the gist. The gist is that men go through this too. And though they are physically strong, they can still be mentally worn and emotionally vexed when these things happen to them, especially when it's consistently happening to them. And some people say, well, you shouldn't be so beautiful. You shouldn't be so attractive. That's not an excuse, right? It's never an excuse because you've been blessed with some type of attractiveness physically that somebody has the right to just violate you. You know what I mean? That's not an excuse to do those things. There are people that are not attractive that are sexually abused. You know what I mean? So it's just sad across the board because I think he said that there was contact where the person tried to grab him, in the private region. And I don't know if they were successful or not, but the mere fact that they tried to grab him, it wasn't just suggestions, right? And temptation, but I think the person actually did grab him. So go check it out. Listen, it's not just news, but I just wanted to get to the heart of this because you'll be surprised at what men carry, because they're being told they can't talk. And if they do talk or share, they're scrutinized and mocked and not taken seriously. So if you're being scrutinized, if you're being mocked, you're not being taken seriously, then you're not going to feel inclined to share. You know what I mean? You're not going to feel inclined to share because you're going to feel like, well, I'm going to be teased or I'm not going to be taken seriously or potentially blackballed if I do come forth. You want to be protected. Everyone needs to be protected, and protection is not just about physical protection, but it's also about your emotional state. Your mental state needs to be protected too. So he's tired of carrying it, and I don't blame him. I hope he does have a counselor. I hope he is, going to therapy because, he clearly needs that, not just for this, but for other things that he shared in regards to his past. I really do hope he has a therapist or a life coach, because we all could use one, to be honest with you, but the more trauma that we've experienced, the more we need a coach, the more we need a therapist and a counselor in our life, in our Rolodex, to be seen on a regular basis, to try to sort some things out so that we can heal. And my prayers are for him because he clearly needs healing. I mean, listen, because, put yourself in his stead, whether you be male or female. If somebody was doing this stuff to you for years on end, and you see this person climbing and being exalted and being praised, but this person is doing this evil stuff behind the scenes, that's wearing on you. That wears on you. That weighs on you. It affects you. My heart goes out. It really, truly does. It really, truly does. It goes out for him. So my prayers are for him, and hopefully the person that is being accused of this, hopefully they've changed their leaf. He said that there some people are on payroll, and I think what he was alluding to was that there were some folks that were paid to do the pleasure, you know, and they serve that purpose and that purpose alone. And some people, hey, but in my opinion, all money ain't good money. I'm not gonna be doing something strange for a piece of change. I'm just I ain't going out like that. You know what I mean? Now, listen, I understand people got stuff, or people are in situations and they really need help, and you never say never, but I would hope and pray that I would stand on my principles. I know there were seasons in my life, especially when, I was in transition, but still married, but going through, and separated, going through a divorce. And there were moments where I needed stuff. And so my ex would be like, I'll help you. But it's almost like, well, what do you want in return? Because there's always that person, it's like, they're going to try to take advantage of you while you're vulnerable. Vulnerability could be in finances, especially if you're a starving artist. They know that you need a gig like yesterday. You haven't worked in a while, and you're hungry, and you're looking for that big break, and they have an opportunity for you, and so they're kind of like dangling, the gig, the part, whatever, the opportunity in your face. Oh yeah, you can do it if you just do something for me. You know, it happens probably more frequently than people know. It happens a lot because there are people out there that will force you to do some things that you don't want to do because they're evil. So I get his point. If this person is still operating in that way and functioning, you know, yet still he needs to be called out. Or even if he is not, I think Christian Keys has a right to share his story. You know, will it hurt the person? I'm sure that it will, and that's what we're seeing. We're starting to see a trend. It's not just women coming to the forefront, but it's also men. So shout out to all the males out there that are, feeling like, listen, I need to share my story too. Like I've been experiencing some stuff too, and it's not right, and I shouldn't have to go to my grave with this. I need to tell my story. It's not about them, it's about me. I'm the victim. So kudos to him and others like him. Of course, we make jokes and create memes and all this other stuff. We don't take it seriously, but I think that we should. I think we should take it seriously. Our brothers need to be defended too. They need to be protected too. I don't think that because we think that, oh, no, what's the harm? In our mind, it could still be harmful to them emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It could be doing harm, even if it's not a physical thing where somebody tackled them down and forced them, if it's not an R situation, but it still could be again, impactful in a negative way. If it's just harassment verbally, or if it's something where they're exposing you and you're not open to it and you're not without your consent, that still is wrong as somebody tackling you and forcing you because they're literally forcing you to see something that you don't want to see and to be exposed to things that you don't want to be exposed to. and it's not right, and it's not okay. Just like we say for perverts that, when our kids are just walking down the street and all of a sudden they're flashing our children, like that's wrong. You know what I mean? To expose our children to that foolery, it's that's wrong, you know, very much so. So I'm hoping that this is recording because I know it froze a couple of times, but I just want to encourage you, just go to his Instagram. That's Christian Keys. That's Keyes, Christian spelled traditionally. He's sharing his story. It's still there. I think he has a right to share it. Men need protection too. I think that the Him Too movement is in full effect. I think it needs to be, because men have stories that they need to tell as well, because there's a lot of rage, but there's something beneath the surface of the rage. Why are you angry? Why are you having a hard time connecting and being in relationships? Why haven't you been married? You know what I mean? There's something there's something else beneath the surface. There's something more going on. There's more to the story. And I think that for him, this may be that. There might be a lot more there. And I think the carrying of that is potentially hindering him from really moving forward with his life altogether, because that's a big weight to carry. You're literally carrying not only your secret, but you're carrying their secret. So, yeah, it's definitely not his to bear. And nor is he beholden to this person, nor does he have to protect this person. Why do I have to protect my abuser? So when he comes forward, which he's clearly wanting to, and he's starting to, he's making space for, he's almost bracing their fall. That's what he's doing. Because in truth, let me tell you, and again, we're talking about Christian Keys. Let me be clear. For something like that, if that person is such a powerful person, let me tell you, this is me. I wouldn't give them that precursor. I wouldn't give them the heads up. Like, not at all. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would just tell it. I would either tell it or put it out there. I would report it and then let the police report it, because it's like this. We got to pray for his protection, because if this person is as powerful as he says that he is, and if he has the resources, there's people that will do harm to someone for a couple of dollars, let alone if you dangle tens of thousands of dollars in their face and they need money. They'll be more than happy to do harm for you. So, I'm concerned for his safety at this point, because if he does come forward, this person is going to do everything that they possibly can to protect their brand and to protect their businesses and to protect their billions of dollars. Okay. All right. So this is serious, so my prayers are for Christian, that number one, he gets the healing that he needs, that he gets justice, and also that he is protected during this process, because I don't want anything to happen to him. So if we hear anything crazy happens, you know how they do, they cover up stuff. Oh, he decided to take his life. You know how they do. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Because if that was the case, he would have done it a long time ago. Like I said, his story, he has a powerful story. He really, truly does. And if anything, he would have exited out of here a long time ago if it was about that. But he is a survivor, right? He is a survivor. So follow him on IG. Listen to his story if you feel inclined. And most importantly, let's keep him lifted in prayer, because he could use it. Prayer for protection, prayer for healing, and resolve. I think it's time that we lay it to rest. I think it's time that he gets healing and also justice, because if this is true, then that makes him a victim. And victims come in all shapes and shades and sizes. They're not just women of a particular race and ethnicity, of a particular frame, of a particular hair color and eye color. Okay. Victims come in all shapes and sizes and colors. And so let's not forget that. So prayers for my brother here. I really do hope and pray that he gets what he's hoping to get. And that's that. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you. It's been a long day. Shout out to those that missed our session on today. It was phenomenal. Our planning session. We're going to continue on with our planning session. You don't want to miss that. The planning session, it begins at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Let me go ahead and share that real quick since I'm in the mood to do some advertising. We have our strategic planning session scheduled for tomorrow at 3 p.m. Come on and join us. It's the second half, but hey, maybe you could get something from that second half because you missed a huge chunk of what we're doing. Okay. And then of course, I just want to say thank you so much for watching me. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channels. And that's it. Feel free to share if you feel inclined. Until next time, God bless you and keep you and be safe. And shalom.